I think we have a break between sessions, so all the happy people are in the room, and we have Sarah with us. Sarah, looking forward to this conversation. If you can't give us your name, who you're with, and what you do.
Sure. My name's Sarah Falls-Verano. I'm with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers here in Honolulu. And I do all things geospatial. So CAD, GIS, UAS, GNSS.
We love people that do all things geospatial. Okay, well, you're gonna have to expand a little bit. What are some of the all things geospatial that you do for the Army Corps?
So the Corps of Engineers is an engineering firm,
Sure.
public agency, and we have a variety of missions to support the nation. So some of them are civil works, and here in the Pacific, we dredge the small boat harbors in the large deep draft harbors so that our commercial goods can come in and
Okay.
bring everything that we need to live here.
Is that like a continual maintenance kind of project?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, we call those our civil works projects.
Okay.
On the mainland, you might be familiar with dams and levees
Yeah.
and flood risk mitigation, which is what that's called over there. We don't have too many of those here. We have a few, but really it's the harbors that we support. So the dredging, I mean, as you can imagine, it requires a lot of geospatial support to figure out the boundaries and the depths to which we are needing to dredge those harbors.
How do you get the depths? Is that something?
Underwater
Yeah.
sonar.
Okay. Okay.
Do you use any like that bathymetric LiDAR?
Yeah,
Or-
yeah.
Nice. So do you guys do that consistently? Or like what kind of frequency are you mapping those sands dredge? I'm assuming it's shifting all the time.
It is, and they are on a schedule. Yeah. And that's not my kuleana, as we say out here. I'm peripherally involved, so I can speak to it in a general sense, but I don't know what the schedule is for the eaches.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, so how did you find your way over to the US Army Corps of Engineers? You woke up, you were 12 years old, and you were just like,
Yeah.
I am gonna go be an engineer for the
The
government.
example you gave, yeah, you met with your guidance counselor, and they said, you know what, you should do all things geospatial for the Army Corps.
Not exactly. Didn't- Actually, my passion was more in conservation and biology. I got my degree in biology, my original college degree, and got out of school and wasn't really able to find a job back in the economy. It was kind of slow.
Okay.
So what do you do when you can't get a job?
Look around for something else to do.
Become a land surveyor.
Become a land surveyor.
I was looking for you go back to school.
Okay, sure. Okay, got it.
I did, and that's where I was exposed to GIS. This is back in the 90s, so I'm dating myself a little bit here, but GIS was being used in the biology field in conservation, mapping out land
Oh, sure. Yeah.
conservation, and I leveraged that into a job with the USGS at the
Okay.
time, and then transitioned over to the National Park Service. I was living in Flagstaff, Arizona.
Oh, that's close to yeah. We're Phoenix based.
Oh, ah, so
I have had some amazing experiences in Flagstaff, Arizona.
Nice.
It's a gorgeous place.
it is. I agree, 100%. So I worked for Grand Canyon National Park for a while.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Then I had kids and decided to move closer to home, which is here.
Oh, okay, great.
And the big federal employer out here is the Department of Defense. So that transition was to work for the Corps of Engineers back in 2009. And I've been with them ever since. And it's a little step away from conservation in biology, but it's still really good work. And I'm passionate about what I do. I've been giving a presentation about the emergency response to Lahaina,
Yeah.
focused on that.
Talk a little bit about that. I caught some of the presentation yesterday. You did a phenomenal job. It was very interesting. So kind of at the high level, can you give our audience kind of an update on that emergency response?
Sure. So, another mission of the Corps of Engineers is emergency response. And so
Sure.
we are tasked by FEMA to do the engineering portion of that response.
Okay.
And that can be for Lahaina, it included a lot. We were out there days after it happened to provide emergency power to critical facilities. So we had to map that out. Where are these generators needed? Where are the taskings coming from, and where can we put them, and how are they going? So we have a whole dashboard built for that. And that was out there. They were out there for 50 days, and then we retracted them because the county was able to provide that power again. And then the debris, that was our biggest issue. Yeah.
That's one of those things that everyone thinks about the recovery, but it's like a detailed part of it. Like, what do you do with all the stuff? You know, all the, you have all these remnants. Where does that go? And especially on an island, a small island, I'm sure it presented specific challenges.
It's so interesting to me because obviously being a mainlander, we hear about Hawaii, but that fire, I mean, it swept the nation. Like everybody was watching it on every news channel. I mean, I remember people crying, talking about the devastation. What would you say, like, what was the biggest thing you learned from all of this? Like, what would you maybe tell somebody out there in the world that does something like you, like, to make life a little bit better? You have to have learned something.
I've learned
Turn it something super negative into something super positive. What'd you learn?
Well, I'm gonna circle back to the conference theme, which is La Lima, which is working together. And so our community here just pulled together. It was heartening. It was devastating what happened out there, but everybody wanted to see what they could do to help the recovery, to help with the response. So the initial response was to do the recovery, and then now then the electrical mission, to provide the power to folks so that they could communicate with their loved ones. And then we came in and this debris response, taking out all of the toxic materials, the recyclable materials, and then the rest, and finding a place for people to start rebuilding. And that's just, and then temporary housing is another engineering feat that we've been doing. So providing the housing to those that have lost it in a temporary manner so that they can rebuild and come back more permanently later. And then there was the elementary school. So that's a critical public facility that we were able to provide a temporary replacement within 90 days of being tasked to do so. So all of this requires a lot of collaboration. We got the state to streamline our permits so we can build that elementary school quickly. And there's just so many collaborators in all of this. And this is a great community here in Hawaii, geospatially and beyond. So
interesting. Couple questions. One, I'm just curious. You said that one of the first things did come in and provide generators, but before that, it created a dashboard so you could understand where they needed to go. Right? How quick did you make a dashboard in an emergency response? Not a lot of people think that's a critical item.
So, because emergency management is a mission of the Corps of Engineers, we have at the enterprise level, at the headquarters level, folks who focus on this for their jobs. So they helped us out.
Wow.
And said, this is one of the Corps of Engineers missions that FEMA is going to task us with. So we're going to send people out right away. And here's a template for a dashboard.
Wow. That's amazing. And then you mentioned like the collaboration, and I think you mentioned it some in your presentation about, can you give us an explanation on how the Corps works with the DOD and FEMA, and how, it's like a support arm of other, and you have your space and then they come in, like, how does all that work together?
Sure. We are tasked by FEMA. So first, the governor of the state has to declare an emergency and ask for that federal assistance. And then when FEMA is tasked to give that federal assistance, they start reaching out to their partners. There's emergency support functions, and there's a whole plan that FEMA has. They task the Corps of Engineers for a certain engineering and public facilities support function.
Okay.
And so we can anticipate this, and we have planning and response teams that are already spun up and on call for any emergency that happens.
Interesting.
And it could be a local response team, it could be from the mainland. Happen to be that for this one, our local power response team was on call. So they were all local. They just flew over to Maui 2 days, 3 days after the event and could start. They were familiar with the area, you know, it was just, it worked out.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about the outreach of, because I don't think a lot of people at this point know what's going on or what happened and what, you know, it was like Nick said, everyone was talking about it for a while and then it's like, okay, what's the next headline? So how do you get that message out? It's like, by the way, all this stuff was still happening and these are the great things that we're doing for the community. Is that a challenge that you guys have, or how do you get the word out?
Yeah, that's a great point.
She talks to the Geoholics.
Oh, yes, of course, of course. That's right.
No joke. I mean, every which way that we can get the message out. So whether it is through podcast, through a website, through the news media, through print, through word of mouth, you know, it's every which way.
Okay.
So there's a great website called MauiRecovers.org.
MauiRecovers.org. Okay.
And it is bringing together the great work that the Corps of Engineers has done, that the county is doing, the state, private, nonprofit agencies. So, you know, after the Corps is done cleaning the debris off someone's property, they still have to rebuild. And
Right.
that's a very complicated process. And so some private and nonprofit groups have stepped up and filled a gap for those folks that need the help in presenting a design to receive a permit to rebuild
Okay.
and helping people through the process of rebuilding.
But you said the governor is fast tracking some of that stuff, or not so much, just for the school, or are they fast tracking the home builds too, or?
They're doing what they can. We're all working together. So that's a county issue, the issued permits. And I was just listening into another presentation where he was talking about how they're putting more staff on permits for this area because it's just, you know, it's overwhelming for the local staff. So yeah, there's stuff that the state can do, stuff that the county can do, nonprofits and whatnot. Yeah.
So what's next? What's the and the mission's not done, right? Or is it? And where does what's your, you know,
Right.
you go back to just waiting for something else to happen, or what, you know, what's next for you in the Corps here in Hawaii?
Sure. So there's regular work.
For sure.
As for Maui,
Yeah, dredging. Right. Yeah.
we have so many missions. There's plenty of work to do. For Maui, though, our FEMA missions are winding down.
Okay.
So we've completed the debris. We're almost done with temporary housing. So we'll, you know, that funding from FEMA will come to a stop for the Corps of Engineers, not done for the local community.
Got
You
it.
know, there's plenty that they will have to do, but for the Corps of Engineers, it's ramping down on Maui.
Okay.
And then for me personally, I'm going to stay busy with these other missions that we have. Actually, right before Lahaina fires happened was another emergency event in Guam. We had a hurricane that
Okay.
hit Guam. It was ahead of the hurricane season. It hit the very end of May.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So we got the prize for the first hurricane of the season.
Oh, I don't know if I want that prize.
Yeah, right.
So our area of responsibility covers the whole Pacific.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Right? So we're not just focused on the state of Hawaii, but we gotta be ready.
So that would be like America Samoa as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Interesting.
You have a cool story. Now, do you get to travel to these places, or kind of stick here in Hawaii?
I do get to travel, yeah, but you work yourself up in your career,
yeah.
you do more meetings and less of the filter. So
Sure.
I know that all too well.
Yeah, sure.
I got to ask. So you have an awesome career. You've been doing a lot of great things. Do you have any words of advice for somebody coming up in the geospatial world, maybe in college or thinking about it, or some tips or tricks to make life easier?
it's all about relationships. I'm gonna go back to that. It's who you know. So thank you. I think I have an awesome career too. And it was all about who I was talking to, opening doors, just talking to people, literally opening doors. That's how I got into GIS. I was volunteering at the county of San Diego and walked by a computer where they had ArcView 3, whatever. And I was like, that looks super cool. I opened a door and introduced myself, and then here I am now. So
That's amazing.
yeah, it's really go after what you're interested in and talk to people and build those relationships.
We typically ask people if they have a mantra that they live by, and my guess is yours is that.
I am taking some self-evaluation tests, Myers-Briggs and all this stuff.
Sure.
There's one test that talks about, are you a people person or I'm like solidly pegged on people. So yes, I do think that it's all about the people and in the relationships that you make.
That's amazing. Sarah, thanks for your time. Thanks for everything that you do. And I don't think it gets enough credit. I think it's a little bit of not recognized heroes, I guess you could say. So thanks for everything. Thanks for your time here, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Hello, thank you. Perfect. Great.
Hey,
Yeah, well done.
thank you guys.
Can I make a snarky comment?
Yes, of course.
So what did you write back over the 5 things you did last week?